Mo, thank you so much for the invitation to come to your offices. Thank you for coming on to Canny Conversations podcast.
Thank you, Saf. Thank you for asking me, and I'm looking forward to this today.
Thank you so much, sir. Obviously, I've seen a lot of the press, a lot of LinkedIn, and congratulations, first and foremost, in terms of your sale of Waterwall to the Looping Group. That's one of the reasons why we're here, because I wanted to know about the journey, and more importantly, in terms of the future for yourself, in terms of what's going on. So, what's life at the moment like for yourself, Mo?
Strange. I mean, I've been working since I was 12 years of age, and now, I'm still working, obviously, right? But water has been a central part of my life for a long time, and I keep thinking, because it's still next door, I keep thinking, I should be going next door. So I'm going through this transitional period of coming to terms with the fact that I no longer own it. And I need to let it go mentally, and then need to move on and do new projects. So It's an interesting phase.
Okay. So talking about new projects, obviously you've still got a glass full. You've got a full plate. You've got a lot going on. We've got the M Investment Group. You've got your Pulse Group. You've got many other things as well. So let's talk, if you don't mind, just share with us in terms of some of your investments, your business. The business side of things, and then we'll talk a little bit more on the philanthropy, and then we'll go back a little bit in time in terms of what's got you here.
Well, as you said, I've got a portfolio of businesses that I have my management teams in, but they all generally fit around fitness and leisure. You mentioned about Pulse.
Yeah, we talk about leisure here.
Exactly.
We're actually in the gym at the moment.
Literally, this is my life, Yeah. And one of the things I do say about when we start talking about entrepreneurship and motivation is you got to do something you love.
It might inspire me, I think.
Well, exactly. Maybe
might inspire me to get
going.
Maybe
I can show you where the gym is.
Maybe. Absolutely.
So obviously, talk about sort of Pulse. We mentioned leisure Pulse. So that's one of my businesses. A 44-year-old company that I took a stake in a few years back. I'm going to focus a little bit more about that because I'm going through some exciting phases. We just opened a US office only 12 months ago. We're opening up an Indian office. There's 30 other countries that we deal with through distributorship agreements. We manufacture, design, and install equipment, gym equipment. We deal with the Ministry of Defence. We've got a contract with them. So if you kind of go to a local leisure centre and a gym, you'll find probably Pulse Fitness. Pulse Fitness.
Yeah.
So that's one of the businesses, and it's a diverse range. I've just invested in tech business, as I was saying earlier.
Wow.
I think that's got legs, and obviously I think it's got legs because I've invested in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We still have the property side of the business. I still got my fitness clubs, which is really where my heart is. We're literally based here, and so all the noise you're going to hear is authentic. It's real.
It's real.
People lifting upstairs.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this podcast at a time when I normally should be training.
So thank you for that again. I really appreciate that. We've obviously we're a little bit late with the podcast as well because we've had a fantastic conversation. We've got to know a little bit about the journey. Our conversation has been wide and depth. It's not just been about business. It's been about life. It's been about the community as a whole, integration, and all the rest of it as well. So again, we'll touch on that. But if you don't mind, in terms of currently, you've sold the organisation, you've sold the business. It's next door. You see it on a daily basis. It's been your life really. You've lived and breathed it. It's the thing that you were most well known for. It's the thing that's probably got you the most sort of PR and got you quite well recognised in terms of the local, not just the local community, but on a national scale. And you're going through that transition. You've got new opportunities, new ventures. You're open to new opportunities and new ventures. We said in terms of obviously the new opportunities and new ventures. One of the things that really touched me earlier on is that you were predominantly a bricks and mortar person. So I'm talking about how people change. So you said to me you were predominantly about a business that's linked to an asset, a property-backed business. Like for example, you've got your clubs. There's a property and there's a business behind it. That was the model before.
Yeah.
You've changed your outlook a little bit in terms of that. So I'm talking a little bit about change. You as a person, how have you changed? That's one change. But how have you changed? If you don't mind sharing that with us.
Well, you're talking about businesses, and you're quite right. Obviously, like a lot of Asians, we always stick to the property side first. That's the easy options, because there you can feel it, you can see it, you can do something with it. But I think as time goes on, what I have realized is that sometimes if you stick to what you know best all of the time, it can be counterproductive.
Okay.
So I suppose I live by the principle of never stayed, of always being risk taking, which means then you got to look at all opportunities, and the opportunities are so different now than it was 25 years ago. So I have to accept and embrace those changes. So and also, I mean, it's a mental thing, isn't it? It's not. So whatever my mindset is, that mindset has to evolve and it has to change as time goes by. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely. Mo, there's a quotation that I like to quote you or share with you. It's by a guy called Alvin Toffler, and he said the illiterate of the 21st century are not going to be the people who can't read or write, but the people who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. So you're in a continuous state of growing, continuous state of being green, and continuous state of being open-minded. And if you're open-minded, you're more of a more open to opportunities. So that's effectively
that's actually the story of life, isn't it? I mean, of any entrepreneur type of character, you're not going to hold them in one place. That we are sort of type of people that we create, we see things, we hear things, we see things, we feel things, and then we instinctively deal with those things. So what I'm experiencing now is nothing new that I've not experienced before as an 8-9-year-old kid. Do everything I've done in my life. It's always been transformational change. It's been not following others and doing and just following my own instincts, and whatever feels right, I'll go with it.
Yeah. Doing my research for this, obviously I like to add value to all our guests, and I phoned a couple of people up and I said, do you know this chap Mo Chaudry, or do you know of him? And there's not many people who said to me that they know you personally in terms of knowing you, but they know of you, they've seen you on stage, they've heard you, and they know people who know you. And one of the things that keeps coming back is he's authentic, genuine, he's not afraid to say what it is. Never rude, but just clear in terms of where it is. He's comfortable in himself, in his own skin, and you'll get you'll get a real genuine person. That's been more or less the feedback on a personal basis. Does that sound? Does that sound all right?
That's spot on. I mean, that really spot on. It sounds like those people actually know me personally.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's all about. And one of my big things at the moment is with the social media. There's so much division, there's so much hype, there's so much just fakehood,
Yeah.
And there's not enough authentic, sensible, clear-cut advice. And I think people like myself, there needs to be more to spread that message. Because all we hear at the moment is division, problems, issues, migration, boats, negative. No one really is talking about the positive impact of immigration. This country's been built on immigration, built on enterprise. From Francis Drake, who was a pirate, effectively, we're a country of entrepreneurs that created a massive empire, and we are the byproduct of that empire. And us as Asians and immigrants coming to this country, we've helped build this country up, and no one's talking about that. Some of the great brands like Tesco and M&S are all built by immigrants.
Absolutely.
So so I think the word authentic is missing in the vocabulary of today's social media communications.
Again, if somebody was to Google yourself, one of the biggest things that they'll pick up is that you were part of a documentary called Secret Millionaire. Again, we saw the raw you. We saw a person transitioning within that documentary. How we saw that change in yourself, and that must have been quite a moment for yourself.
It was a strange experience, actually. When I was approached by the production company the first time round, I turned it down because I thought, I wasn't quite sure whether it was going to be authentic, whether it was just one of those documentaries that could go wrong for me, and I had to ask myself some questions. But when I saw the first series, I realized, actually, this could be quite exciting. And thankfully, they came back and said, look, we're not used to being turned down. You've seen the first series. What do you think? I said, great. And what that motivated me is two things. Well, for the prime thing actually was a personal thing, a personal journey, because I had, and from a young age, I realized in order for me to make progress, I had to break away, break out to look at the bigger society and meeting new people. And I was a pioneer. I wanted new things. But as a result of that, in some respect, I cut my roots. And I felt I was missing something in my life, that sense of belonging, that I no longer felt I was floating. I needed my roots back. And this was an opportunity to reconnect with my roots.
Okay.
And it did just that.
So you went to Leeds. I think you went to an Asian area, heavily denominated Asian area. You went into the heart of the community.
Yeah.
You mixed with that community. You made friends. You made relationships. So So again, in terms of that change, you reconnected, but you also saw people from a different perspective. Because,
yeah, definitely. So obviously, when you start living in your own bubble, you kind of start thinking like that. So I broke my bubble to actually, in a way, it's been reminded me about Starsky and Hutch back in the day, and Huggy Bear used to be undercover. I felt just the same.
Yeah.
And I actually remember meeting Huggy Bear at a function.
Yeah.
And we were talking about his role and my role and how it connected. And I said his role really inspired me because I thought, okay, I'm playing Huggy Bear here. I'm undercover. No one really knows me. And I can see things from a totally different perspective, because sometimes what happens is, when you achieve a little bit of status and position, people treat you differently.
Yeah.
And I know how I used to be treated when I was a kid, when I was a young man, and it kind of took me back. But what I did see, within the midst of a lot of community issues and deprivation and all of that, I saw that, but I also saw a lot of good.
Yeah.
People that really, despite all the challenges, they were doing good. And that I found quite inspiring and motivational.
Yeah, who people saw you as a person as opposed to the name or the brand or your
that was a nice thing about it, to be treated just like another person, and it was interesting to see what their responses were, how they communicated with me. And I mean, the one in particular, the boss, and I think they call it boss.
Yeah.
In the shop where he gave me that radio, I mean that was lovely.
Absolutely, man. I think the video is on YouTube. It's absolutely something that we should see. I'm also seeing some of the clips on your social media profile as well. And as I said to you earlier on in our conversation, your social media at the moment is you're putting some effort in. Obviously, you're going through your transition, and I know you're sort of developing that, and we'll see more of that. And
I think just on that particular point, really, I'm in a bit of flux. I do believe there's a need for an authentic voice.
Yeah,
someone who's done it, someone who can talk from a sensible perspective, and give our young people, all young people, a sense of hope.
This is the thing, isn't it? People have given up a little bit. Some people have given up. They've got that sense of entitlement. They've got, no hope really in terms of the future. It looks very bleak. And if you're looking at the news all the time, it's like, UK,
doom and gloom. It's doom and gloom, right?
Everything's, and it's okay for the well off because they can migrate or whatever the case is. And us guys are sitting here. That seems to be generally the vibe in terms of what people are saying. Is that what you're picking up?
I'm picking up, and we're talking about my fitness side and gyms and my training. I meet a lot of young, they see our people, young guys, some less young, but there's a common denominator that I pick up when I'm in my gym, I'm having a bit of banter with all my gym buddies and whatever. And one of the things I pick up on is the word hope, or no hope.
No hope.
When you give up on hope, you give up on your life. You give up on everything. And I think that is one thing that needs to be brought out. The young people need to find hope. When you get hope, you find focus. When you find focus, you find ambition. When you find ambition, you find extraordinary motivation to make the move and take action. And that's what people should be doing. Instead of sitting and dwelling and thinking why things can't be done, I say, look and think how things can be done.
Yeah. As you said, it's about taking the right level of action and getting things done, as opposed to that victim mentality. Ownership, accountability, responsibility.
I mean, the word you just hit on there, victim. What a negative connotation to that. But if you just change a couple of letters, it becomes Victor, right? It's then uplifting, isn't it? More energy.
Yeah. Mo, I want to talk about risks because when you take action and when you've built an empire like you have, and you're in the status that you have, you have to take risks. You have to take some element of measured risks, and people are in some aspects of it not risk takers. Some people are, are taking risks maybe which are a bit too much. So talk to me about your attitude to risk, and that's a word that's probably familiar to you because obviously your background is financial services, insurance, and so forth. So just talk to us generally about your approach in this respect.
Risk, or the ability to take risk, or the art of risk, actually is the most important aspect of an entrepreneur. Okay, so if you are on a conveyor belt of life in the system, you'll become risk averse. And what you tend to find is you lose that, I call it the sixth sense, instinct. What we have when we're born, when we're little kids, we jump up and down, we do all the naughty things, and we have a bit of fun, right? And the parents start saying no, 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 and then you go to school and say no, 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 no. So you become conformist. And I think entrepreneurial type of characters, they don't fit the prototype, they don't fit the mold, and that's okay, because you shouldn't really have to fit that mold. Why don't you create your own mold? Which means then you're going to be out of the system, which means it's a lonely place. However, if you take your chances, you will see, and you'll go to places emotionally, financially, that very few other people will ever get to. And there's nothing more satisfying than that. But the core byproduct of that is risk-taking. Is essential. So anyone listening in, it's not about being clever. It's not about being how clever you are academically or in any other way. It's about an ability to take the right chances at the right moments.
Okay. Another odd word that's sort of reigns prominence, which is resilience. So people talk about being resilient, being in a position where they can deal with obstacles, failure, barriers. That go-to mentality. You're a self-starter. So talk to us about resilience, if you don't mind us.
Of course. I mean, again, most people are risk averse.
Yeah.
But they don't want to fail.
Yeah.
Okay. They want to stay nice and steady, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's how the system grooms us, brainwashes us, deals with us. But then when you go out of that system and you start taking chances, you know what's going to happen. Inevitably, you're going to have some setbacks. You're going to have some failures. That is the place you want to get to, because only when you've taken the chance and you've set a setback at something and you failed is when you really learn, is when you really turn your life around, because you go into space that very few people ever endeavor into, and when you're there you realize who you really are. And trust me when I say this, if you can you'll find the reserve. Most people never really go below their reserves. All right, there's a lot left in the tank, and when you go to that space, you find resilience. You find that tenacity naturally, and you will dust yourself down, and you will get up. It's a survival instinct that very few people experience or face. But if you're facing it, you will better yourself. You will get up. Because, if you're motivated, if you're going to trigger and to motivate, and you're passionate about something, and you see the path, you want to go on that path, and occasionally you're going to slip off it. What's going to happen is you don't lose sight of that path. You'll get back on. So resilience only comes from this extraordinary motivation and passion to do something. That naturally gives you that sense of resilience.
Okay. I asked one of my contacts when I was doing the research, it says, what do you think is Mo Chaudry's reason for his success? And I'm going to quote something for you in terms of what the individual said. It says, Mo Chaudry has many things to thank for his success. One is his inner steel, his energy, his enthusiasm, his business acumen, and unflinching family support. So again, your father, your family support, and so forth. How does that sound in terms of
my family support? I'm not so sure about that, because what I've done of my own volition. Like when I first started, go to do doors, for instance, or play cricket for Wellington and for Shropshire, on my own volition. Going to further education was my own volition. So I think my parents. It was a difficult stage for them. I mean, they were first generation, right? So they had their own challenges. So I didn't get that parental support. So in some respect, I was fending for myself. And then my wife is really when it all started to become clearer, where I was given that support, unflinching commitment, with my endeavors, and she was always there supporting me. So family, directly and indirectly, do have an influence.
Influence, yeah.
You know,
So
but
please, yeah. Sorry.
and the rest really is about. I think this thing about tenacity and this inner strength.
It is, yeah.
Where does it come from? It's a difficult question to answer. I suppose mostly it comes from challenges of life, you know, that we all have lived different lives. So I was uncomfortable at a very young age. I was didn't see any comfort. I didn't see any stability. All I saw was challenges on a daily basis. So you then become either the victim of that, or you decide, you know what, you're going to do something about it. So it actually makes you stronger. So if you can withstand those challenges, which is the big ask, then you do become stronger and stronger, because then it gives you confidence. You being when we talk about risk, to me it's came naturally, because all my life I was out of this comfort zone. Not because I didn't want to be in a comfort zone. I didn't get the opportunity to be in a comfort zone. You know, challenging bullying and what have you, and learning the language. It was all challenging. So when it came to work, it was easier. You know, and then you have to do things different to others.
Yeah, yeah. So your family and yourself, you arrived in the UK in 1969, came to Heathrow, to weather which was a little bit different to maybe what you were used to. I think you spent some initially early years in Luton, and then the family moved to Telford, Shropshire. So let's delve, if you don't mind, let's delve into those early years. I mean, you've touched on it a little bit, but what were those early years like in terms of your family, yourself?
Right. So you take me back now,
Yeah.
and when I look back, it's I have to have strength of character to look back.
Yeah.
Because it was a very challenging period.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid being free, roaming in the village, jumping into the village pond, swimming with the animals, and no health and safety, and it was just fantastic. The weather, I just remember it being just nice and sunny and bright. And you turn up, like you said, at Heathrow, March 1969, and I think, what are these white things falling from the sky? And I've never seen snow before.
Snow, yeah.
But then my life did change for the worse.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
It's tough.
It's horrible. I mean, I was at the Denby Junior School in Luton. I was the first Asian, but now they're 99% Asians.
Yeah.
And I was literally dropped off my dad on the first day, and that was it. Couldn't obviously speak the language, read or write. I was looking at ABC, and the kids were obviously reading books and other things. So it was very difficult. And of course, then you got no friends, you can't speak the language, and then to magnify the problem, then you get picked on. People making noise, faces at you, calling your names. Where do you turn to? And it was horrible.
Yeah.
So that's when you become you start to think, well, I have no one to turn to. So what do? You turn to yourself. And you find the inner strength to carry on somehow. And that in itself then gives you the strength I didn't know at the time, but that experience of my life was the experience that's made my life, because that strengthened me perversely from a really bad situation. But for those 2-3 years, it really, really was horrible. Couldn't sleep, just dread going to school. But never once did I miss school. Never once did I cower away from anything, cower away from anything, thinking, I can't do it, I feel ill, I'm not going to go. No. I did my duty. And this has been the story of my life, standing my ground. Sometimes, at the secondary school, I stood my ground. It was a school ruled by black children. And I stood, and I thought, I'm not having this anymore. And I don't know where I found the courage to stand. But once you make the stand, you do find the courage. And you find that it's not so bad. You can handle these situations if only prepared to stand up to it.
Okay. So the family moved to Telford. You joined a Madeley College.
No, not that.
No?
No, it was a grammar school.
Grammar school?
Yeah. Madeley College came after.
So you joined grammar school, and then you went to college.
Yeah.
Studied sports sciences.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that transition. Obviously, that's now into a slightly different phase.
Right. So from going from Luton inner city.
Yeah.
Again, we were kind of used to moving, because whilst we were in Luton for 3-4 years, we moved 4 times. So my dad was a quintessential entrepreneur, basically. He decided he would have another guy running a business, bought a little grocery shop, typical Asian, corner shop.
Corner shop,
So we moved, got myself into the grammar school. I have no idea how I managed to get in, but I got in, flunked everything, learned some lessons. That's when one of my first triggers I talk about, it got triggered, that sense of purpose from that moment, because I did play the victim up until that moment. Anyway, managed to get my act together, realize education is really the foundation of everything, and you need a certain amount of education. I wasn't ready for the world of work. I was immature. I had no purpose. Didn't know what I wanted to do. So I actually wanted to do law. And actually, this is quite an interesting point. Actually, there, I've studied law and economics for A level, and I'm a bit embarrassed to say this. And the third was general studies.
Okay.
I passed law and economics with good grades.
Okay.
But I failed general studies, which was multiple choice.
Okay.
So that kind of susses out my type of brain, how I work. When it's something I find hard, I challenge myself. When I find it easy, I don't challenge myself. And I just literally just mess around, thinking, and even a monkey could pass. And I mean, what does that make me? I failed. So I couldn't do law, because for law, they needed to get into university, you needed 3 A levels, good passes. I only got 2. Failed abysmally the general studies. So one day, I'm just, I think it must have been in a library, and of all the people, Mr. Ackley, I remember his name, our law lecturer comes to me and said, "Mo, I've got the right opportunity for you." It was very old school, very posh man. And he said, "What's that, Mr. Ackley?" He says, "Here, fitness, leisure degree." I went, "What? Do a leisure degree sport?" He said, "That's what you should be doing." So I did. I went to Madeley College to do it.
Wow. And sports
is that a law?
Absolutely. And sports has been part of your life, and that's been sort of a key moment. I mean, in terms of sports, you've lived and breathed sports. It's been your business. It's been my life. Everything.
It's been my life. Everything, I mean, I was, like I said, I started to play cricket. I was the first Pakistani to play for Wellington and Shropshire. I did martial arts, did boxing, did weightlifting, did rugby, football. I played every sport. I wasn't at the best at anything, but I enjoyed it, and I was quite good at most things. So you know what, we all remember school, right? And you have a certain group of 3 or 4 or 5 kids that tend to play everything. I was one of them. So
full all rounder.
Full all rounder, and you know, it gave me a sense of purpose, because as I suffered and declined in my academic endeavors, I swung more towards sport, and it gave me a sense of respect. So I could walk around the school, I would get the respect.
You became a popular person as well.
Yeah, so I thought, you know, I quite like that, quite cool. I like being popular, so I went for sport. But also, actually, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing sport. I enjoy the competitiveness of sport, but also the camaraderie, and also the sense of respect that you have. My closest friend was my kind of cricketing hero at school. We used to, at the grammar school, once a year, the school team used to play against the staff. And I wasn't even playing cricket then. I was only 14, and I saw this lad got a 50, and I thought, I wish I could be as good as him. And as a result, became friends. We've been lifelong friends since. So sport brings people together.
I mean, talking about sports and your sort of impact on the world of sport. I mean, you've had involvement in terms of managing Eddie Hall. Again, you know, a very well-known individual who's made who was the world's strongest man in 2017. So talk to us a lot about that, because there's a few other things I want to talk about, but let's talk about Eddie.
Eddie Hall is another interesting one, isn't it? Because somebody said to me at the time, it just proves you're an interesting character. You're not one-dimensional. Because I'm diverse in terms of what I do. What I haven't said, actually, where the link really applies, is my dad. My dad was a natural strongman. He was Balawar. He used to lift stones back in the day in Pakistan.
Mr. Iqbal,
So he actually, because of his stone lifting, it was a long story, but he managed to lift the commanding officer's jeep out of, and then he got stuck. And the commanding officer actually said to him, you know, name your price. And he said, my price.
Freedom.
I want my freedom. I want to go to England because I've read about this place. So there's a link. But my dad didn't have the size, and I didn't have the size to be the world's strongest man. And so anyway, this Eddie Hall, local guy, I'd heard about him. He joins my club, and as soon as he joined my club, I asked to meet with him. I had no real plan, And I just wanted to, see if there's got mutual sponsorship or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, within 15 minutes, his life changed and my life changed. I asked him some direct questions. He gave me some direct responses. And before I know it, I'm having a bit of a metaphorical car crash because I'm then said to him, right, okay, let's shake on it. And we shook hands and I said, right, give you a notice in tomorrow. You're going to become a full-time pro and I'm going to help you achieve your dreams.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to give you 3 years, underwrite your career with everything. I'll finance it all and let's see where it goes. As it happens, well, as soon as I got on board, everybody else wanted a piece of the action. So we got a number of sponsors, helped him. And within those 3 years, he became the strongest man in the world. And not only that, he was the first man to lift half a ton off the ground.
Wow.
Wow. And the rest is history.
Yeah,
and I feel
absolutely.
so proud and privileged to have been part of that journey with Eddie Hall.
Yeah, but there's others as well that you've supported, you've initiated as well in terms of support. So not just in the world of sports, but also in the world of art or films as well. You've
Entertainment.
got, entertainment.
You mentioned. I think you might be referring to Rachel Shenton.
Rachel Shenton, yeah.
But I think the most important thing here is I invest in people. I see, when I was younger, I would see the opportunity in business ventures. I would see the pathway.
Yeah.
And as time has gone on, I've started to look at. I realized that when I started, I was a one man.
Yeah.
By the time I got to peak of my business with like 600-700 people that were working for me across different businesses, and I realized that actually what I had to do was to motivate, identify and seek talent, and motivate them to become better, talented individuals. And in return, obviously, my business would flourish. And again, so relationships. I met Rachel Shenton and her husband Chris. They had a project on. I'll get sort of, we all do get a lot of these projects put across the table. And as soon as I met them, within 10 minutes, I said, yeah, I'm in. And little did I know. I believed because Chris is a documentary maker and Rachel was a budding actress. They pulled the things together. I saw that chemistry and saw the energy. And I thought, I can back this. I just felt compelled, and luckily, I mean, they won an Oscar for that short film, and it was just nice to be part of that journey.
A global success. I mean, you did that again with the Paralympian Ian Marsden, who won bronze in Tokyo.
He didn't quite get gold, but he's an Olympian and he did very, very well. And it's nice to be, and also a bit of diversification as well. It was nice that he was disabled, is Paralympian.
Yeah,
and I think it's good to put some focus on a range of different subjects and different opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, diversity seems to be the word that you live by in terms of everything that you're doing, in terms of diverse portfolio, diverse range of skills, diverse range of activities, diversity in everything in terms of that. I mean, if we talk a little bit about some of your charitable work, your philanthropy work, you need deep dive into that as well. It's not just arm's length giving. You're actively involved. You did the desert bike ride in the Middle East. There's many other things as well. So talk to us a little bit about some of those challenges.
Well, you mentioned about education, being more kind of active.
Yeah.
We all give to charity, but we don't know what the impact of that giving is.
Yeah.
So I like to get to the sharp end of it. So it started first about 15, 18 years back, maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I was in Pakistan, and my late uncle was the boss of the village, so obviously got to respect the big uncle, and I'd say it's and they call me my Pakistani name is Saak.
Yeah.
He says, by the way, can't go out today. I said, why is that, uncle? He said, because someone's coming to see you. I said, well, everybody wants to come and see, but they don't really want to come and see me. They come and see you, but just because I've come as a guest. He said, no, but this one is important. And he happened to be a retired general. And I said, what a business have I got with a retired general, right? And he said, no, he's going to say something to you. I don't know what he's going to say, but he did ask me to keep you here. So anyway, I met the general, we had a cup of tea, and of course the Pakistani style is you preamble, right? You don't get to the point.
It takes forever a day.
Yeah, so you're having this tea, and I'm thinking, get to the point.
Yeah.
So in the end, he saw my body language. He said, "Yeah, you want me to get to the point?" I says, "If you don't mind, General, what can I do for you? How can I help you?" He says, "No." He said, "How can I help you?"
Oh.
I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "See, we're sitting here, and you look, and it was about 5 o'clock, and the kids were bringing these sheep in from the fields." He says, "That could have been you, that couldn't it? As a kid, that would have been your life." I says, "Yeah, you're probably right. Lucky got the opportunity,
Yeah.
to go a break and get the chance." He says, "So, how about you giving these kids some chances?" I says, "General, what's your point?" He says, "You own some land." I says, "Do I?" He says, "Yes, on the main Chigwell Road."
Yeah.
I said, "I don't know." He said, "You do."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay," and he said, I want you to build me a school."
Yeah.
And he said, I don't need your money. I've got a good pension. Obviously, they look after me, the army. But I believe that in this rural areas, you need good education to give these kids a chance. And I believe that you're like-minded. And I said, that's interesting. We discuss on numbers. I said, right, okay, I'm in. He says, I'll send you some details. I said, don't worry about it. I said, I'll wire the money across. You build it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and we built the school. Alamir Foundation. It's been going for all that period. I've been back a few times, and 450 kids are being educated. It's one of the most satisfying things because I've created impact.
Yeah.
Literally funded the whole thing, saw it from the ground up, and I've seen those children. And there's a video going around on YouTube, which when I visited once, where the whole school came out in parade, and it was just fantastic. Apparently, one of the first female pilots, military pilots, Air Force pilots, have graduated from that school. Number of female doctors, engineers.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's your impact. So that's basically one of my most important things I've done. And obviously, I think you're referring there, following on from that, I've done a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
But that's a different form of
giving, isn't it? Yeah. Rowing from Paris to London or London to Paris. You did that.
Yeah.
Children's hospice and so forth.
Again, just on those points, I've done things different from everybody else. I don't just do the norm. Doing this bike ride you mentioned earlier, I got inspired by Lawrence of Arabia, the film, and it was a winter period. I got a letter saying this Deaf Children's Society. I had no links with the Deaf Children's Society, and they said, we're doing this project first time ever. UK charities don't do a overseas fundraiser with a challenge, and I was smitten. So I signed up to it, made my donation, went on it, and it was an experience of a lifetime. And it just kind of, because I think also from a selfish point of view as well, I was looking for a reinforcement of me as a person, whether I could cut it again and again and again with those physical challenges, because they become mental challenges. 350 miles across a desert, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. First day, I should have given up. And pretty much on the first day, it was very, very, very terrible conditions. And they said, well, what we'll do is we'll take the people back to the hotel because it's too difficult situation today. And only about half a dozen stayed. Yeah. But they were proper cyclists. Yeah. And then me wasn't a proper cyclist. But it was the hardest thing of all, but I did finish it. And somebody said to me, you get through this, you'll fly. But you need to get through this mental barrier that you've got now. You're physically exhausted. You haven't trained enough for it. Now we're going to see whether you've got the mental strength. And that's where you dig. So all these metaphors, in business and risk-taking and digging deep, it really manifests itself in those type of challenges.
Wow. Thank you for that. So, you've got the M Club Foundation. You've mentioned the work that you do in Pakistan, but the M Club Foundation, it talks about wellness, talks about obviously you do different causes. So just give us a brief in terms of that organization.
Many years ago, obviously we get a lot of requests from all and sundry, so I decided to set up my own charity. Yeah. It's not been overly active. It's still sort of kind of through the first phase. Yeah. But the objective of that charity is to help young people from deprived backgrounds to get into recreation, into sport. The purpose of that is to get them to actually start to open themselves up to friendship groups, to social networks, that will then develop confidence and a positive attitude, which will then inspire them to better themselves, and then get them. If it means to get educated, if it means to go into business, so it's really a case of picking yourself up from wherever you are, get into recreation, get into sport. So that is really the basis of, because all of my life I've realized that when you play sports exceeds all other prejudices. It's based on meritocracy, based on your own merit. Irrelevant whether you're brown or black or Muslim or non-Muslim. It completely eliminates all prejudice. And that is a space that young people particularly need to be in order for them to fulfill their potential. And that's the purpose.
Okay. Mo, our main audience, or what part of our audience are sort of career leaders, people who sort of advise people on careers, young people, young talent management, HR professionals, and in the world of careers, people sort of, I've got different perspectives. Some people talk about, going into an organization and then showing what you can do and work yourself up, and others sort of pick and choose in terms of this has to be right and so forth. You've probably had multiple jobs, and you can share with us how many jobs you've had, how you've sort of grown up that ladder of the career ladder, how you've sort of built your name and your personal brand.
Saf, I'm a very bad example. Okay, I mean, I'm completely the antithesis of those HR professionals, because I'm not employable. Okay, so I've only ever had one proper job, which was knocking on doors.
Insurance.
That was for 6 months, and I'll tell a lie. I had 2 jobs. One was working with an insurance company.
The security job.
No. Oh. That was just part time.
Okay.
Yeah, in my adult life, where I decided I was going to make my way in life, and this was the route I was going to do it. So I picked the hardest thing of all, which was knocking on doors. I had a job in a bank. I turned it down.
Okay.
I got a job in a leisure centre. I turned it down.
Okay.
I wanted to do that, but I did work for that company. And then secondly, I worked for another company of brokers. So really, at the age of 24, I set my first company up. So I haven't really had a career in a normal sense. I've had a career of enterprise and entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So people. So just on that point, people like me are difficult to employ because our minds work differently. Now this is you don't mention about careers. I want to say one thing. When you're 15, 16 years of age, you don't really know what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I think the career pathways, what I find is they put you in boxes, they pigeonhole you here, pigeonhole you there. But there's some people that can't be pigeonholed. So there has to be some space for those types who are free-spirited. And I would say that the career advisors and HR people shouldn't prevent or create an obstacle for those individuals, but create a pathway for them which is different to the normal work of life. And I mean, I'm talking about sort of creating enterprise. There's this organization called Youth Enterprise.
Yeah.
They're trying to mold individuals into starting companies and starting businesses. And I think it shouldn't be a case of, well, you have to be 30 years of age to start a business. Why can't you start a business when you're 16 years of age?
Absolutely. So, I mean, Mo, you're very much vested in the local area, Staffordshire. So as soon as you think about your good self, you think Stoke-on-Trent, you think Staffordshire. Yes, you've lived in Shropshire, you've lived in Telford, you've lived in Luton. You've travelled the world to a certain level, but when people think about yourself, think about sports, they think about obviously Waterworld, and they think about Stoke-on-Trent. So talk to us about this community, Staffordshire, Stoke-on-Trent. You're very well known in this area. How important is the community to you here?
Part of my life.
Yeah.
It's been part of my life since I came here when I was 19 years of age. Went to Madeley College, which is on the outskirts of Stoke.
Yeah.
I decided to stay, marry here, build my life here.
Yeah.
So so I got myself as a Stokey, and not just on that point. Only recently, there's been the centenary of Stoke-on-Trent, 100 years of Stoke.
It's a city.
And they've created this wall of mural faces of individuals that had the biggest impact in 100 years in Stoke-on-Trent. And luckily enough, they picked me as well to be in that face.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm actually a fabric of Stoke-on-Trent. But also, I think my first feeling of people from Stoke was they're very straightforward people. I also feel very connected to the community because one of the most famous people, the most famous people certainly in the business world, is Josiah Wedgwood.
Yeah.
Pottery. We're known as the Potteries.
Yeah.
And there's a massive connection, and I'm very, very proud to say this, where we are sitting now and where Waterwall sits
Okay.
is the place where Josiah Wedgwood's first factory was.
Wow.
And so I ended up owning part of Stoke-on-Trent history of Josiah Wedgwood.
Wow.
So there's that connection. People of Stoke are great, are very welcoming. And you mentioned about Waterworld, and I suppose I did something which helped to reinforce the value of Stoke-on-Trent. 14 million people in my time visited Stoke-on-Trent because of my business.
Absolutely.
And I feel very proud of that.
It's absolutely. It's put Stoke-on-Trent on the map. Absolutely. You know, talking about Waterworld, you bought the business in 1999. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's £1.5 million at the time that you invested.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so £1.5 million that you invested.
It was a lot of money at the time. For me.
A lot of money. A lot of money. A lot of risk. It was a turnaround operation.
A lot of risks. I mean, Saf, look, what people don't actually understand, and I've never really said it, now I can't really say it, the business was going to go bust. It was owned by a big company. They weren't interested in it. They were going to close it. Close it, sell the land off. They were a FTSE company.
Yeah.
So what was it that made me take the chance? That extraordinary motivation to want to do better yourself. But the one thing I said a few times during this pod is instinct. Go with your instinct. Everybody I spoke to, people, well, I didn't speak to many, but people did speak to, they said, no, don't bother. Too risky. It's going to fail. You're going to fail. What are you going to do then? And I said, but what if I don't fail? What am I going to do then? How fantastic will that be? And they said, nah. What experience have you got? What experience have you got other than doing a sports degree? Does that give you a qualification to run a water park? It's a complicated business. It's risky. This. And I said, you know what? I like it, and I want to buy it, and I'm going to do it. And I went to the bank, and they said, kind of, no, we don't want to lend you the money in a nice way. Because they said, we need to get KPMG, do this due diligence. And I kind of I make a joke off it and think, well, what is due diligence? What does that mean? And they said, well, we need the rubber stamp to do the report. And I said, yeah, so you can get these bureaucrats sitting and doing a report, but I've already been, I've viewed it, and I like it. Come on, give me some money. And they didn't. So I borrowed money from my property company, bought it, and it's the best thing I ever did. But the point, of course, is instinct. Go against the grain. Do not follow the path of every others, because then you're going to get the same. Do something different, be different, and get a different action.
Okay. So the challenge is, 25 years in business. These
it was 26 years.
26 years in business, and they're not. It's a roller coaster ride. You have your peaks and troughs.
Literally. We had a roller coaster in there.
Yeah, absolutely. You had COVID in that time.
Yes,
you had a lot of changes.
Very challenging.
So, to talk to us about some of the highs, some of the lows, some of the points that you remember.
So the high was obviously buying it, and I bought it within 4 hours. So after KPMG turned me down, well, after I didn't commission them.
Yeah.
The bank was just too slow. They were too faffy.
Yeah.
So I decided to buy it. I funded it myself. But originally, the deal was 3 million quid. And I couldn't fund 3 million quid. So I walked away from it.
Yeah.
I thought, if I can't afford it, I can't afford it.
Can't afford it,
I got to know the chairman of the agent, Humbert's Leisure. He was a very posh boy, another posh boy.
Yeah.
Charles Ponsonby.
Yeah.
And actually, peculiar, I really started liking him.
Yeah.
Anyway, 6 months go by, everything's gone quiet, and I got a call. It's like, Mo, we can now accept Mo deal, right? Your deal.
Yeah.
Mo, I called it Mo deal.
Yeah.
I said, what? My 1.5? He says, yes. I said, but there's a condition. You got to have to move quick. I said, I need to move quick if I'm going to do the deal because it's August.
Yeah.
And August the 3rd and 4th is going to, this is your busiest month of the year. I need to get them cash in. So I said, what do I need to do? He said, well, you need to come to London, see our lawyers or present a contract. I said, right. When? Can you do it tomorrow? Yes. I rang my lawyer up. I said, Glenn, what are you doing tomorrow? He says, I don't know. What are we doing tomorrow? I said, let's have a trip down to London.
Yeah.
I said, cancel your meeting. Let's go.
Yeah.
He said, fine. So got on the train, went to London, Canary Wharf, Oak Panel boardroom.
Yeah.
There's me and him, and there's about 8 of them, an army of these bloody lawyers on this contract. So I said to he was looking at the details. I forget the details, Glenn.
Yeah.
I want to go tomorrow. I want to get my cash in. Come on, let's go. Let's do it. I've made a decision. Let me sign.
Yeah.
So I said, give me the papers. Literally signed it. I said, 4:30, we need to catch the train at 5 o'clock. I'm not going to pay for another ticket for you. Come on, let's go. And the next day, I was the owner of Waterworld. Wow. So I did that deal in 4 hours.
Wow.
Because I just felt really weirdly, just the right this thing. Was the opportunity of a lifetime. And I just had to grab it. But that was a high. 2 months down the line, October, no one's coming in, it's cold, the August is gone, all right? And one of the problems with that business was rates.
The council tax,
it was £500,000 a year rate.
Yeah.
A lot of money, even today.
Yeah.
And I knew they had put an appeal in, but nothing had been done.
Yeah.
So I got the bill and I thought, how am I going to pay for this?
Yeah.
And in the winter months, it hemorrhages money. So what do? I get on the phone and I try and get hold of the valuation officer whose decision it was going to be. I started 9 o'clock in the morning, about 3:30, after about 15 calls, he takes my call.
Yeah.
Persistence, because I had no choice. I needed to get to the decision maker and get him to make that decision. The decision had already been made. He was just sitting on it.
Yeah.
I said, you need to make the move because I'm a one-man business, not a 10,000 person business.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, this business will go bust.
Yeah.
And I'm going to blame you for that failure.
Okay.
And guess what? Within 7 days, I got the new race bill for 100,000 quid.
Wow.
So that was one of the things that was stopping people making the move. Apart from the fact they were losing a lot more money elsewhere. So that was a high. But there's been plenty of it's literally, we mentioned about roller coasters. It's a public-facing business.
Yeah.
It's been there has been challenges over the years where, we mentioned COVID. After 7 months of lockdown, we had 5 days notice that we could reopen.
Yeah.
And we had to get everything up and running, the machinery, the plant room, and the water went green. We couldn't turn it a different color, and people queuing up outside, up to the car park to come in and everything. What are we gonna do? It was clear. It was hygiene enough, but the color of greenness. So when people came in, they thought it was dirty water. So we then got slated in the social media and the press, but it was fine.
Yeah.
That was a low.
Yeah.
There was a chemical report of a chemical leak. The whole of the Staffordshire Emergency Services decided to turn up for the afternoon at Waterworld for God knows what. Nothing was found, no issues, but that caused a lot of strife.
Yeah.
So it was a sort of business where if you just did, sometimes even if you did nothing wrong, if you communicated differently, once a person takes a dislike to that situation in this day and age, it just goes viral.
Absolutely.
So there's been, and then there was a naturist issue. There was a Muslim issue where we were running a women's only event, and they said it's a Muslim only event, and the BNP got involved, the English Defence League got involved. So we had to challenge that. So yes, it's been an exciting up and down roller coaster. And I could write a book about it. It was really, so this is the point. I would never have got that excitement if I'd worked at Barclays Bank. I shouldn't have mentioned Barclays, but a bank.
Absolutely. So in terms of obviously the sale, again, congratulations on the sale. It's hit the headlines. The local press, the Millions Insider. I got that publication as well, landed on my door, and I was so pleased to see your face. I think you were wearing red, very prominent, and I thought, Mo Chaudry. I recognise, you from before.
Recognize my T-shirt.
Yeah, I recognise yourself. And I
I'm a
thought,
man of T-shirts.
Mo Chaudry, this is interesting. And then I follow you on LinkedIn. And I thought, oh, congratulations, this is the big achievement. And I thought, I must come knock on the door and come, firstly congratulate you and also get to know the story. So just talking specifically in terms of the exit and the exit planning. I mean, these things normally are not done in 4 hours these days. I mean, these things, the due diligence.
Those days are gone, not 4 hours.
The due diligence word takes a long time.
It does,
so talk to us a little bit about that due diligence process, exit planning, and what does that look like?
So, first of all, why do I want to exit? I felt I'd taken the business to a level that I could, and I couldn't take it any further. And the next stage would have been to replicate with more water worlds around the country, which is a big capital item, big ticket item, and I ran out of energy, to be honest. That's the truth of it. So when the time came, I needed to make sure that we had the right buyer, right type of buyer. I wanted to hand over to a company that would nurture it and look after it and protect my legacy, I suppose. But that process was very long-winded and very, very, very time-consuming. We first got involved in initial discussions, and the other thing that keeps coming up is KPMG.
Yeah.
This time they're working for me, and this time we realised that this was a big ticket item. It's no longer one man can buy this business. Unlikely, but so it'd have to be a fund, like a private equity fund. Employed KPMG, and they did the work, and there was quite a bit of interest. We had three serious parties, and the party that we went with exclusivity was the current owners. Yeah. But it took 12 months.
12 months.
From the time of exclusivity to actually doing the deal. The amount of detail, the amount of scrutiny was unbelievable. But it also reinforced what a good team of people we had, what good systems we had in place, and what a good business we had. It was a really nice, and we were talking about resilience and economic changes. Well, this was a business that actually was, once we got it on song and built that brand, it was a great business. Through good times, through bad times, it was very, very consistent. That's why this company liked it, and I'm very pleased that we've got a great owner that hopefully that are going to invest, who are also in the industry. And so I couldn't have done any better than handing over the baton to a credible European corporate entity. Okay.
And you've got confidence in their ability that they're going to move it from strength to strength.
Here's the thing: the team has been retained. So a lot of the private equity groups that buy management teams. So we made sure 5-6 years back we started a plan for the right management team. My son-in-law was brought in, so I kept it in the family.
Okay, very good.
And he's played a very strong hand in professionalizing it and getting all the training, all the compliance, all the health and safety, all the procedures in place, the marketing. So they effectively bought the team, and he's pretty much they're Paris, they're European, French-based company. So they're just kind of giving them the direction, but it's the team that I developed has been retained. So effectively, other than the change of the director, the name, it's run the same way.
Okay, fantastic. So really, it's a turnkey business. The management is in place. It's the same team. As you said, you kept in the family. Your son-in-law sort of heads that as a key part of that, and the rest of the team is still there. So they've not really affected any change apart from, you got yourself as the head honcho. You've moved.
I walked out. Basically, it's also had to be a specific deal. There are a lot of exes where there's like an earn-out and complications. It was all upfront. Money upfront. I finish on the day.
That's it.
And they just basically literally just take over.
Okay, fantastic. In terms of that planning and so forth, you said the due diligence is 12 months and so forth. But when did that originally thought came in mind to say, this is the time now? So
where did the time?
Yeah.
Well, I think actually during COVID.
You thought this is the time now?
Well, no, I didn't. I was just had time on my hands. I was doing a lot more exercise, running and stuff like that. And one day I just got a call. from some obscure
broker.
front man who allegedly had some people in Europe wanted to buy this business because they loved this main guy, head of the syndicate, had been with his family and loved this brand, etc., etc. And then I had weirdly a legit. So these people that made the first approach never pursued him because didn't know anything about them. The second fund literally just made contact with me and said, would you be interested in selling? And I thought, well, I haven't really thought about it. So that was really the trigger.
Yeah.
And then obviously we had all these challenges with the COVID, post-COVID, green water issues there. And then you think to yourself, you know what, maybe it is time for me to hand over the baton. Don't have the same sense of energy anymore, the purpose. So there wasn't anything specific. But then as I got thinking, I realized actually, you know what, everybody has their time.
Yeah.
Maybe it is now time. And I think this is the other thing about success or not is timing. Get in the right time, get out at the right time. And I think to myself, I got in at the right time and I got out at the right time for me and my family.
Okay. So the future is looking bright for Waterworld in terms of that. I mean,
the stability is there, and long may that carry on. And I'm very happy that's happened because ultimately, you know, if there's a legacy, that would be that people will always associate my name to Waterworld.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be sustained, and I would like it to be successful and go from strength to strength.
And they've committed to that legacy. They've committed
to that. Yeah. I had choices. There was a Mexican company. It's amazing how the international people came on the scene. There was a Mexican company who were also very, very interested. But I felt this looping were the ones because I had met all the management team, their senior people, on several occasions. It was a case of, you know, not just selling the business, but it was a case of them convincing me and they were the right people for me to give them the exclusivity. So it was a nice position to be in where you got that competitive situation where each one is pitching and saying, we are the ones for you.
Okay.
You know, so...
Okay, thank you. Any advice to sort of entrepreneurs? Because, you know, running a business and getting a business ready for exit, for sale, are slightly two different things, really. You know, when you're running a business, you know, you're running with the day-to-day, sometimes, you know, your focus is slightly different.
Yeah.
And when you're sort of looking to exit, it's about the paperwork, it's about documentation, it's also about looking at the bottom line, EBITDA, all these sort of acronyms come in, finance takes a bigger role.
Financial models.
All the modeling coming, you know, the accountant takes a bigger role in that. So any sort of advice, I mean, you've exited, you've bought businesses.
So this has been the biggest singles deal of my business life. The first thing is put the management team in place. Good management team, strong leadership within the management team, so they can now focus on the operational side. Then any other entrepreneur looking to exit, most people, just one key thing here. Most entrepreneurs, if you build a business of scale, will not be running that business on a day-to-day basis, or they shouldn't be, because the skill of an entrepreneur is different to skill of a professional manager, and that's important to. So I've never run the business. I oversaw the business throughout my 26-year period. I knew I needed to put a stronger management team in order to have a successful exit. So I started doing that about 5-6 years back, making sure I pre-planned that. Second thing is, as an individual, because I'm a little bit more au fait with numbers and dealing with professionals, I think any entrepreneur needs to make sure they get a good professional team around them, not just your accountants and auditors, but a professional numbers man who can do your modeling, who can give you a commercial input.
Yeah.
You need a good legal team.
Yeah.
So really it's a case of just building a good core network of individuals, and then when you're presenting your position, you've got to pick the right corporate finance house. Because if you get that wrong, then nothing's going to happen. You know, so I suppose in my sense, I was fortunate that I had a beauty period of corporate finance houses that I spoke with.
Yeah.
And in the end, I selected KPMG because I felt they were the ones that had the badge and the brand to give us credibility. So it's literally, like you said, it's really two different things. One is running the business, so you make sure the management team do not take their eye off the ball, because the risk, of course, there was with those 2 years. Anything could have happened, and you know what? In the end, sadly and tragically, something did happen. A child died 4 days after I sold the business.
Yeah.
So, key is make sure the day-to-day running doesn't get distracted. So you, the individual, bring in a team of professionals that can guide you, because it's a minefield. So I was an integral part of that team, and my job was to keep the whole team together, select the right individuals. And so it's literally a different skill completely, but do not be daunted by it. You know, it's quite an exciting stage as well. Meeting people, assessing who to bring into the team. And this is the point I was making about how I've evolved over the last 30, 40 years, is I like to think I'm good at picking teams. I'm good at picking talent and saying that person's going to be right for me with my team. So look at the big picture, bring in the right professionals, get the numbers right, and make sure your day-to-day business is focused, that you don't lose sight, because that's where the dangers are.
Keep focus on the main.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I was constantly on the back of the management team to making sure the day-to-day, the routines, the health and safety is high risk. I mean, 4 days, like I said, 4 days after I sold the business.
Yeah, unfortunately,
you know what? You do wonder sometimes where the sort of, as it so happens, the situation that actually happened was primarily the fault of the parents. But had that happened earlier, so you know, I mean, one thing I haven't talked about actually, is you need a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be in it to win it.
You had already exited. You had already exited at the time.
You do need a bit of luck, because you know, had that happened,
maybe
sadly,
a week before,
then we would be having a different conversation, or we'd be having no conversation.
Possibly, yeah.
So I did say actually, pretty much most of my life, I believed I have created my own luck. I had to be there, present, to create those opportunities. But there's been a couple of times. The point about Keith Thompson could expel me from college. I was down for extra bodily harm. I could have had a different career.
Yeah.
And then, of course, so that's luck and fate. And this last bit was also luck. And so I count myself very blessed that in this case I got lucky.
Okay. Mo, your property portfolio is quite renowned. You're one of the largest private commercial property investors in the region. You talked about how your property company was the reason you were able to fund and purchase this. What's your outlook currently on property? I mean, again, I'll remind you in terms of what you said earlier on, in terms of how your mind has shifted a little bit more onto intangible products and technology and so forth. So where's your mind in terms of the belief in property long term or even short term?
I think anyone that invests in property long term will always do okay. All right. It all depends on what stage you are in your working cycle. I built my fortune on bricks and mortar to start with. Took my chances, did the deals. I think time has moved on. What I've realized that markets change, trends change, properties change, locations change. You know, what was 25 years ago, retail was fantastic. Today, it's like ghost towns. Now you look at data centers and you look at new technologies. So I think you can never go wrong with property if you want a nice, steady, secure return. My current view on property is not that positive. I think there are a lot of challenges. I think there was a decision made many years ago about charging empty rates, which really did have a massive impact. They haven't really made much changes with that. So I think anyone looking to invest in property, I'd say be selective like anything else. But for me, kind of moved on a little bit in that sense. I'm kind of investing through on the stock market and commodities and alternatives. And I think what has happened as time moves on, you pivot. You have opportunities that you didn't have 10 years ago. But the essence of it all is there are opportunities everywhere.
Yeah.
You never run out of opportunities. But sometimes it's like a predator. If there's too much wildebeest in front of you, sometimes you got so much show you're gonna miss it all if you're not careful. So sometimes having a little choice is better because you can focus your energy, and that's what I would say. It doesn't matter whether it's property or anything else. Focus.
Focus is the key. Okay, so just on the property aspect of it, I mean, so you've got a. You've got an outlook which is different. You've got a global outlook now, and you've got a broader horizons because of, again, the position that you're in. Gone are the days, again, you tell me otherwise, where you can just buy anything and you'll be okay, because there are risks now. Again, not just council tax, but just in terms of maintaining things as well, and so forth. But in terms of the region, Staffordshire region, the West Midlands as a whole, what's your general outlook? I mean, you've spoken to Mexicans, you've spoken to Europeans. What's your thoughts in terms of the region as a whole?
I think the region as a whole has got a lot of potential. Birmingham in particular, the second city. I mean, I was there only a few weeks back at the cricket, and I walked from the station to Edgbaston.
Okay.
And even within a few months, I saw it being transformed.
Yeah.
So I think, whereas always the action has been in London, and the action will always be in London.
Yeah.
But now at least there are other cities, and I think within our region, Birmingham is the city where the action is.
Okay.
So there's a lot in the core. There's a lot going on in the periphery. So I would say to anyone that's based in the Midlands is don't look elsewhere when the opportunities are right under your nose, and they always are. They always are. Look at Stoke-on-Trent. Okay, in some respects, it's a second-tier city. People sort of drive through it.
Yeah.
They don't hang out, but within our midst, I mean, I made a career out of staying in Stoke-on-Trent. So there's always opportunities. Do not be smitten by the big bright lights, because there's nice and bright lights wherever you are. Just look.
Absolutely. So you're very hopeful about West Midlands, very hopeful about the opportunities here in Greater Birmingham.
And why would you not be?
Yeah.
Why would you not be? It's a heart of the Industrial Revolution. That's where it all began.
Okay, thank you. Mo, thank you so much for sharing the inspirational story. I mean, there's a couple of things I just want to try and capture as well, if I may. One is about mentorship. You've talked about yourself. You never really had a mentor as such. You're a self-starter. You've had people who've come in your life, who've influenced and have affected you, whether it's not giving you the opportunity or whether they've spoken to you, but you've not really had a mentor as such. But in terms of the power of mentoring, I mean, this is something I would say you do believe in. You talk to, you're working with the universities. You're open-minded in terms of talking to younger people. So talk to us a little bit about some of the work that you may be open to in terms of mentorship and sort of some of the community initiatives and youth. You mentioned youth employment.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had the opportunity to be mentored. So just fended for myself.
Yeah.
Plod along and somehow managed to find my way around things, So, but I'm one of the fortunate ones that had that. I don't know whether it's a skill or aptitude or just good luck. I don't know. I think it's important to be mentored. I think it's a minefield out there of different challenges, and it requires a lot of skill, a lot of support. And I would say it's very difficult. I mean, I've literally done it by myself, but the odds are stacked against you. I've done it against all odds. So I do believe that people, whatever spectrum of life you're in, whatever stage of life you're in, having that, sometimes just a moral support is important. Having somebody, a sounding board is important. You have an idea, you have a challenge that's going on, and you can't find an answer for. And sometimes just by having someone who you can talk with gives you that. Sometimes the answers just come. So I think mentorship is really important. I think it should start at an earlier age, as early as possible, because that's when you really. grow as a person. But there's a difference as well. I mean, mentorship, which is going to control you and stop you fulfilling your spirit, then I think that is counterproductive. But I think if you have your own energy and spirit, but you need to find the right direction to deploy it, that's probably where good mentorship comes along. That little bit of nudge, say that's the way.
Okay.
Put that energy there,
Okay.
and then the rest will happen then.
Okay. My final two questions, if I can, Mo. If you were to revisit The Secret Millionaire in now, in the stage of your life that you're obviously more well known now than at the time. I would say. How would you see things? What would you sort of imagine if you were to go back and say, you know what, I'm now, a secret millionaire, gone back to anywhere, Leeds, say, as an example. How do you think things have changed or haven't changed and so forth?
Are you talking about me as a changed person?
Yeah, no, you and how would your outlook change? Because you went there originally for your roots.
Yeah.
To sort of saying, but what would be the reason now, and what would be?
That's a very good question. That is very difficult to answer because first time round I had a natural motivation because I needed to find myself.
Yeah.
I found myself.
Yeah.
I'm rooted. I feel comfortable in my skin and everything around me.
Yeah.
I think I'll find it more challenging now because I'd probably be more judgy, Whereas at the time I just tried to take things in as a normal person. And I think the difficulty I have today is because I've got all that experience can sometimes be counterproductive. So I'm not sure whether I would enjoy it now because I've done it. I've done it once, and once you've done the same thing, it's difficult to go back to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It would have to be a different type of challenge. And then I think I would enjoy it. So this is the same with everything in life, business. Okay. You can't go back. You can't replicate. You have to go forward. So take a water wall. I'm not going to do another water wall because I'll just be duplicating and going back. When really, one of the themes that we've been talking about is pivoting, move with the times. So I would not want to do and go back to do Secret Millionaire again because that's history.
Okay. I've got some notes on that in terms of, I thought, okay, if you were to go back, because at the time it was about your good self, it was about, inner thoughts and beliefs and finding yourself, as you said.
Self-actualization.
Self-actualization. Today, when you're going there, you've done that. You're comfortable in your own skin, as you said. You know where you are. You know what you've achieved. You're very comfortable with your British Pakistani background, your roots in Pakistan, but also at the same time, you've shown the fact that you can make it in the UK.
Yeah.
You've integrated. You're a fantastic example of integration. A fantastic example of how immigrants can actually add a lot of value to UK PLC. When you're going back now into any inner city, you may find possibly a little bit of fatigue because there's an entitlement syndrome coming in. People have given up hope and so forth, and that might be a little bit more frustrating for your good self is what I would maybe suggest. Yeah.
Not so much frustrating. I think you hit it on the nail. Hope, lack of conviction, and when you do that, you're finished anyway. And I don't think it's necessarily ethnic people. I think there's a new class of, I would say, underclass of people that have just given up.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. So the message I would like to give there is, it's important that other people like me in a similar situation should put themselves out to go out and communicate and get people to start to believe that it is all possible.
Yeah.
And we role models. Okay, so I found that I have had no positive role model for most of my life, but a lot of young people, I think, should have positive role models.
Yeah.
And people like myself and others should make a contribution to go there and inspire this generation of young people that, like you said, feel a victim mentality, that have given up, to get them to be re-energized. And just imagine what good that will do for society today. Okay, our economic crisis and all the issues we have, because there's a big welfare problem. Most people don't work, don't want to work. Just imagine if you got, I don't know how many millions there are, say 3 million on welfare.
Yeah.
If you got half of them motivated to go and get self-propel themselves, and that could in a matter of a small number of years transform our GDP, our economy, our worth, taxes. We can really grow from within. Just finding the energy. And so I would propose, if it was me, if I was in government now, I'd be advising that the government should be looking to get some positive role models out there and roll them out and go to schools and colleges and mosques and synagogues and gurdwaras, wherever people are gathering, and say to the young people, there is a way. There's a way. Nothing's impossible. Let's make things possible.
Okay, absolutely. So politics at the moment is very divisive. There's a lot of them and us going on, and it's a very difficult time at the moment in terms of where we are. In terms of yourself, any ambition in terms of getting involved with politics? Any ambition in terms of trying to make that change? You're an individual, a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience. You think about these things. I know you're involved with universities, you're involved with other sort of projects. I mean, is there a way that you feel that you can sort of be that voice of change?
I think politics is a difficult game to be in.
Yeah.
And having had a sniff of an opportunity many years ago to become an MP, I declined to go that route because I feel it's a restricted route. I think people like myself can actually make more transformational change whilst we're free to utilize that energy and that spirit to go out and actually transcend and communicate that message to the people that need to listen and hear. That's where I think the impact needs to be. Politics is a dirty word, isn't it? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and whoever gets into politics, I don't think makes any difference. All they do is they just exacerbate the problems. So what I think, so from my personal point of view, I think the role that I would like to fulfill is a role where, along with other successful people from different sectors, to go out and find a way of mentoring and communicating a positive message to our young people. That is the future of our society. Young people, and they need to be energized. And how are you going to do that? You're not going to do it through politics. You're going to do it through, I wouldn't say social work, but certainly, what I try and do, I do talks at colleges and universities and schools. So I'm trying to do my bit to demonstrate to these young people that don't give up hope. And I think that's all we can do. All we can do is do our bit to help ourselves, to help society.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you so much for sharing your frankness, your openness, sharing your insights, and any final sort of words of wisdom for myself and our listeners.
Well, Saf, look, it's been a pleasure today. And your team, you've taken time to come all this way. I appreciate that. I hope I've given enough content.
Thank you
for your listeners. And I think what you guys are doing is really, really, actually you fulfill that objective. You are allowing people like me and others to communicate to the public out there that's listening in, hopefully inspire them to do bigger and better things. So you've created that platform. And I think the stuff that you guys are doing, it in itself is inspiring. And the more the merrier in my opinion. So good one as far as I'm concerned. Well done.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for the support, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Great.
Canny Conversation Podcast Series 5 by Safaraz Ali.